Hi all, welcome back to Make More Bonsai, John here. Today we're going to spend some time reviewing whatever progress we may have achieved with this Japanese black pine, since the last time we did some work on it about a year and a half ago. In that video, we prepped it for spring by plucking needles to open up areas to allow more light to reach the inner branches to hopefully produce more buds and add ramification to the overall tree. We also wired the branches to spread them out to also assist in some back budding. Fast forward to the present, and we can see lots of new growth, and new branches have emerged. The needles are still a little on the long side, but at least they're a quarter to a half an inch shorter than the previous batch of needles. So we have more shorter branches all over the place, and the apex is also gaining some weight, and more smaller branches, with the space between the needle groups clumped closer together. This is all good news. One thing I'd like to adjust is that low branch on the right. It's coming from slightly behind the trunk. I'd like to move it more forward to occupy space over the trunk, not behind it. To address this, we're confronted with a few options to choose from. One, allow it to grow out longer and lengthen to eventually cover that space. Sure, we could do that. It'll take a while, which is okay, but that branch will always be kind of reaching around the trunk, hiding its origin point. I want to see that main primary branch where all the secondary branches emerge from, rather than it be hidden. 2. Remove it completely and focus on the branch to the left as a main branch. I'll bet some of you would be all for doing that, and you wouldn't be wrong. Its presence is currently somewhat of a design flaw. Opening up that space might improve the design by creating some drama and improving the negative space around it. Or, if there was a way to create some length to the branch, we only need maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches to swing that branch and all of its foliage goodness forward to the front of the tree. So let's be honest, option 2 sounds really sexy. Sexy and easy. Just a quick chop and we're on our way to Bonsai Happy Land. But option 3 presents an opportunity to try to enhance the tree, create a wide foliage profile, and find a way to keep a well-proportioned low branch on the tree, which does have value. And bonus, I get to demonstrate a groovy technique for this video. So, I'm gonna lean into the bonsai fun and see if I can save that branch. If after a year or two it doesn't successfully add value to the tree's overall design, the rest of the branches on the tree will have advanced as well, which may better inform us on the option to remove it and maybe create a gin instead. But for now, let's get started on finding a way to extend the reach of the base of that branch to give us the length we need to bring it forward on this tree. As always, to get started, doing some light cleanup to remove anything that isn't contributing to the health of the tree. Removing any downward pointing needles will open up some area for more light to enter the interior of the tree. Cleaning up and updating the condition of the needles of a black pine is an ongoing task all year round. Throughout the growing season, I will spend a few minutes here and there removing any off-looking needles, such as ones that have brown tips or may have been damaged by wind or a random squirrel marching through the tree. Also, any that may be crowding a new bud that has formed, as well as any that have just drooped downward. I'm always on the lookout for any new growth that will help push the design forward, so returning to the tree every so often to clean it up is a very constructive way to pass the time between major sessions with any tree. Now, let's review what we have to work with. We can see from this really lousy video a true testament to how much I have to learn about capturing video, but we'll work with what I was able to salvage here. We can see the branch that I want to move forward emerges from the trunk from the back. It extends about maybe 2.5 inches before it bifurcates into a wide fork. One branches toward the right, the one I plan to move forward, and one contributes to some background foliage for depth. The main primary branch these two forked branches are attached to is pretty much immobile, too short to expect it to bend a meaningful amount if we were to try to push it forward with wire, but where there's a will, there's a way. One really useful thing to keep in mind is the sap flow within the vascular system of a black pine, and I think many pines in general. They have a very fast vascular system that floods the xylem and phloem with water, and that flow crosses over and around the direct pathways to where it's needed across the width of the trunk or branch, as well as vertically. One could cut a groove in a branch and the pine will rush to heal that over and build a callus without causing too much reduction in flow to the rest of the tree. The vascular flow will work its way around the groove to meet the demand of the rest of the tree. And that's exactly what's going to happen with this branch. We are going to split the branch at the fork and continue that split until there's enough length to extend that branch to a more forward position. This will also reduce the width of the thick primary branch that's emerging from the trunk by about half, which will make it more flexible, hopefully enough to bring that extension all the way around to the front of the trunk. Since we're doing this in winter, the tree is fully dormant. This operation could potentially go completely unnoticed by the tree. If everything is in place before this tree begins to start to move nutrients in early spring, it'll start to compartmentalize the injury, form callus, and begin business as usual, barely skipping a beat. So let's get to it. I'm going to use this fairly thin folding pull saw to make the incision that will split the thick branch, starting right at the center of that fork in the branch. This style of saw only cuts when you're pulling, which is very useful when doing this kind of operation. You have complete control over your cut and position. Each pull removes about 1/8 of an inch on a full stroke, which is actually a lot if you're working fast. The advantage is we can get most of the incision done rather quickly and then slowly and precisely remove material until the branch is flexible enough, a half a pull at a time after the initial cut's made. After no more than 2 minutes, we've removed enough material and are able to easily bend the branch. Once the tension is released from the center of the branch, it becomes very flexible. Next, I'm going to wrap the area with raffia. The raffia has been pre-soaked, so as it dries, it will tighten around the branch and form a very reliable seal around the wound and also protect the rest of the branch from breaking while trying to push it forward. When applying the raffia, it's looped around once, pulled to tighten, then looped around again to cover half of the previous loop, and so on until the branch is fully protected. Pine branches are usually pretty flexible. It's rare that I would use anything to protect a branch from breaking, but in this instance, because the base of the branch was split to extend it, the pressure the raffia is providing will help limit the extra stress from bending and encourage quicker healing, and callus will form well if the motion of the branch is limited. I'm also going to further protect the injured area with some rubber around the initial cut, just to further protect the area and assist with some pressure around the most sensitive part of the bend. Next, using some thick copper wire, I'm going to apply 2 coils along the length of the branch I want to push forward. Each wire will have a different origin point. One is connected to a small gin with a hook, and the other is following through along the back branch. Why? I want to limit any further damage I'm about to do by bending this branch forward. I will have the leverage strength from the wire crossing the trunk to the small stump, combined with the second wire attached to the back branch. There are 2 thick coils that will hold this branch in place. I really don't want to spend a lot of time pushing and adjusting to get it into position, doing more and more damage to the incision area. I just want to push the branch into position and have it hold immediately. There really isn't any anchor point to attach a guy wire to that will accomplish pulling the branch forward, and since this has become flexible enough to simply bend it, this seems like the most efficient way to accomplish this move. All that's left is to push that branch forward from the base to fill that space that was conspicuously devoid of foliage. This new foliage pad will receive more light and will help any new buds that form along the branch. Now that we have that area filled with a branch, we can address the second branch on the left. It now needs to be raised a bit so the foliage from that branch isn't lower than the branch that was just pulled forward. So that branch kinda needs some extra attention. It has a very wide curve. I would like to see a more angular change in direction to break up the softness that curve provides. For that, once again, the pull saw will be used to cut a wedge shape on top of the branch. By removing that material, I can break up the smooth curve with a more angular profile, making that branch a lot more interesting as it gets raised. Once in position, it will callus and heal into a very strong obtuse angle that will break up the monotony that smooth curve creates. I'm choosing to add that angle where it will be most visible on the branch, about 2 inches away from the trunk, in an area devoid of any foliage or other branches. Let's talk about the effect that will have on the look of the branch. If a branch, or a trunk for that matter, is curved like this one, it kind of feels like it was pushed into position. You may want to consider limiting just how obvious it will look like mechanical wiring was used to simply raise the branch. This is an opportunity to engage with that branch and consider how to add some artistic flair, and take advantage of the chance to make this branch feel more natural and add some depth to asymmetry within the design of the tree. When branches grow, new buds form and turn into mature branches. Over time, a portion of those new branches will experience challenges that will cause a branch to die back, leaving the remaining branch to take over. When this happens, chances are it won't appear as a curve, it will have a clear angle change. When designing bonsai, always look for opportunities to enhance the story of the tree. If a branch has a soft curve like this one, see if you can change it up a bit and add a bit of angular geometry to it. Or to reverse that, if a branch is all sharp angles, try softening it up with some curves. Look for some ways to add contrast to your design if you can. This very impactful addition to this branch maybe took a few seconds to execute. Unlike the branch below, which took some planning and wrapping, I think it's safe to say you encounter more quick and simple to do opportunities than the more complex techniques. All that's left to do this session is to rewire the rest of the branches and spread them out to allow more light to penetrate the interior to encourage more buds to form throughout the top of the tree. I hope to accomplish this year some forward momentum that increases the density of the internal branches. They've really become well ramified already, but I would like to begin to reduce the length of the branches overall and begin to develop a third tier of ramification that resides closer to the trunk. The primary branch emerges from the trunk, the secondary branches emerge from the primary branch, and the tertiary branches emerge from the secondary branches. By fall or this winter, I want to have a lot of secondary branches with buds emerging on them to become that tertiary third tier, and spend year 3 and 4 developing them. This also kind of means, if all goes well through spring and summer, when it's time to work on this tree again next year, a lot will be trimmed off, but by then these branches will be well placed. We have some time before the final decision to keep or remove that branch we just pushed forward. For now, however, we're going to leave it as it is. This has been lots of fun getting the chance to demonstrate some different ways to achieve some branch placement and how to mechanically perform some techniques that add some dynamics to your tree. I hope you can give these a try when you encounter a similar situation on one of your bonsai. Thanks for watching. I hope you gained some helpful insights from this little video. Maybe like and subscribe and leave a comment below, and possibly check out the book or the t-shirt and hat links in the Show More section below. There's even a super thanks option available as well. Special thanks to everyone who chose to champion this channel with that little heart button. Your participation and support really helps energize this little production and helps me dream up new stuff to show you, because bonsai stuff is kinda cool, and so are you for helping support this channel.